Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Vince here. I hope you're having a good day. I'm currently on break for Easter in Florida with my family, and I have a lot of free time right now. So I thought I'd make a video about how I got into Georgetown. This is kind of impromptu. I'm on my Mac's photo booth application, so the quality might not be that good. I'm also just kneeling over a bed with my family in the background, so hopefully you don't hear them too much. But I thought I'd make a quick video about how I got into Georgetown and kind of what I think the Georgetown admissions committee looks for, because I feel like Georgetown looks for very specific things that other schools might not look for. That can hopefully help some of you guys who are interested in Georgetown or similar caliber schools be more successful. So it won't be a long video, but I'm just going to go over what I did in high school, kind of my stats and stuff like that, and more importantly, what I think Georgetown really focuses on, because I know a lot of you guys who are interested in Georgetown probably know Georgetown has a separate application that's not part of the Common App. So I'm kind of just going to go over that a little bit and what I think will give you guys the best chance of getting in if you really are interested in Georgetown. Okay, so before I go over test scores, I really just want to preface it by saying that your test scores don't define you. I feel like SAT and AP scores and all these things have become so grained in as such an integral part of the college application process that it's so easy to just get really muddled down in them. I remember when I was taking these tests, I was always really muddled down to trying to reach a certain percentile or think, hey, I need to get this score. If I don't get this, I won't get into this school or that school. But kind of once you're through that, and I'm a junior in college now, you kind of look back and you think, wow, that was really crazy how much the test scores kind of mean to you at the time, and really they're an imperfect measure of intelligence. I know people who had really good test scores and didn't do as well in classes, and people who didn't do as well in classes but did really well in test scores, and everywhere in between. So I'd like to just kind of preface me going over this by saying that your test scores aren't everything, and they shouldn't deter you from where you apply to college. So I took the SAT my junior year. I took it just once, and I'm older than the current applicants who are looking at this video probably. So back then there was 3 sections to the SAT. There was the reading section, the math section, and the writing section. So I think now the reading and writing section are joined together, but it used to be separate. And I got a 2270 on my first go. I got a 700 in reading, an 800 in math, and a 770 in the writing section with an 8 on the essay. So I prepared through a program offered through my school for students at the school that was comped. It was free, and that helped me a lot. But I think the most important thing for me was doing a lot of practice tests. So I might make a video about this in the future, but I had that big SAT practice test blue book, which I think they probably have some iteration of it now for the new SAT, and I highly recommend doing that and just doing a lot of those practice tests, because really the test is pretty similar each year. They look for the same thing, and as you do a lot of practice tests, you get really good at pattern recognition, and your score will go up. I think when I took my first SAT, I was really around like an high 1800s or 1900s, and I went up like 300 points over the year or two that I did kind of informal prep and then a formal prep course. Anyway, so yeah, those are my SAT scores. And then for Georgetown in particular, they care about SAT subject tests unless you take the ACT, which I didn't. So I took 2 SAT subject tests. I took the Math 2 subject test and the Biology molecular subject test, and in both of them I scored a 780. So I don't really think it matters what subject test you take, but Georgetown does care about subject tests. They want students who show that they're interested in particular fields before coming to school, and that they might pursue those fields at school. So that's something you want to be on the lookout for, because I know some people still don't really think about SAT subject tests too much, and it can kind of catch you off guard, but Georgetown cares a lot about subject tests. And I might make a video about that in the future, about how I prepped for the bio one, because I didn't really prep for the math one. But yeah, so that's really my test scores. I took the SAT once. I stopped at the 2270. I didn't really want to take it anymore. I didn't really think it was worth the investment. I didn't think I was going to do much better in the math or the writing section. The reading section I probably could have done a little better on, but I think once you hit a score that you're happy with, it kind of becomes futile to just take it over and over for 50 points increase or so. And then my school had a strange grading scale out of like 5.25, I think, and I think my overall GPA was about a 4.85 or something like that. So again, Georgetown, they get applications from all sorts of schools and all sorts of grading systems, and I think they kind of just standardize it and look like, hey, based on this school's particular system, how did the student do? How did they perform in these classes? What classes were they interested in? And I wouldn't worry too much about whether you have a 9.5 on a 10 scale or a 4.9 on a 5 scale. I just try your best and show that you can do well in classes that you're interested in, and I think Georgetown will recognize that. So now that I've talked a little bit about my academic history and what Georgetown cares about in terms of test scores and grades, I just want to talk about how Georgetown differs from a lot of other similar caliber schools, which is that they have their own application that's separate from the Common App, and this is intentional, I think. I think Georgetown wants to rule out students who just plan on recycling their essays that they wrote for the Common App into another school that's pretty good and, kind of take their chances and hope they get in. They want students who will go out of their way to take the time to do this longer application that's specific to Georgetown. When I applied, I don't know if it's still the same, but I imagine it's pretty similar. There were 3 essay questions. One that was like, what about Georgetown draws you to Georgetown? So the why Georgetown essay, which a lot of other schools have. Then there was one that was like, share a meaningful experience about you, or what makes you you. And for me, that kind of question was worded in a way that allowed me to kind of just use my Common App personal statement for that essay, so I didn't have to write another one for that, for Georgetown in particular. And I think there was one question that was that basically asked, what about the District of Columbia, what about DC, where Georgetown is located, draws you there, which I think is pretty important because a lot of people who want to go to Georgetown are interested in the location, being right in DC in the Georgetown area of the district, which is a really nice area, but having access to the district, right 5-10 minutes away. So again, I think Georgetown intentionally has a separate application to weed out the people who aren't really committed to it. So I think these essays are really important for getting into Georgetown. I think that if you really want to go there, you need to know why you want to go there and show that it's not just that it's a good named school, but there's something about it in particular that draws you there. And for me, unlike most people who apply to Georgetown, I wasn't interested as much in government or international relations and the School of Foreign Service and being in DC for that. But for me, it was just that as a pre-med student, there was an early assurance program, which allows you to apply your sophomore year and be accepted potentially to Georgetown Medical School as a sophomore in college and not have to take the MCAT and to go straight to college and not have to worry about all that anxiety. And then also something about DC that really attracted me was that the National Institute of Health and National Institute of Mental Health are both located in DC, and these federally funded institutions are great facilities for research. And as a pre-med, I knew that I was interested in doing research, whether in biology, psychology, or other fields like that. Having those facilities nearby was a huge opportunity that I talked about a little bit in my essay. So it doesn't really matter what you talk about, but you definitely want to have a few things in mind that are in the DC area that are really important to you and that would really enrich your Georgetown experience, and you want to talk about those in your essays for the application. Again, Georgetown cares that you're a good student, that you have a strong academic record, that you have pretty good test scores, but I think Georgetown is a little bit different from other schools in that they have the separate application to really gauge who you are as a person. They want to know what you care about, whether you're an advocate for a certain cause, what communities you're involved in, and how you're going to take advantage of the communities that Georgetown offers, the DC community and various other communities on campus. So I think you really want to go over that and think about that when you're applying. And I wish you guys the best of luck. If you have any other questions, just comment below and I'll get to them. All right.